Hey, it's Nate here. I'm sitting with Jesse Wig. He is the owner of about 7 different companies. You know, a real estate brokerage, a flipping business. He's a buy and hold investor. Has over, close to 70 doors himself, and then over 100, including his partners. So we're just gonna sit around and chat up about business, the economy, real estate, flipping, Airbnb, all of it.
Perfect. Yeah,
Jesse, thanks for coming and hang out.
Absolutely.
So what we were just talking about. Oh, the number of doors you have right now. So 60, 70 by yourself. It's hard to keep track because why?
All it is that, and that sounds, I feel like that comes across in an arrogant way. It's absolutely not. Like, we're constantly buying and selling, and we'll pick up X amount of units, and then I end up selling these 3. And so I'm not like, I probably don't pay as close of attention to the unit count as maybe some do, but I just want to keep growing, and I know if I need some money, I sell some properties. If it's a good deal, I buy some properties. So right now we're on a contract. Just a couple of days ago, went on a contract on 7 single-family homes. So I'm buying a portfolio right now. So
from one buyer or one
from
seller?
One seller.
Okay.
Yeah. And but here's the thing that we're in different markets. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you hear
he's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, in Pittsburgh market. So when you hear 7 homes, it sounds like a big number.
Yeah.
You'd be blown away at what it is. So these 7 homes is $380,000. Okay. So with that being said, it's in the area that I focus on. That's close to $55,000 per unit. Okay. And I'll be putting a lot of money into all of them, right? And but we can build a significant amount of equity through renovations on every home.
Yeah.
So I'm on the fence now as to whether, like, what strategy I'm going to go with this, as to where I'm going to buy them all, renovate them all, keep them all. Am I going to flip a couple after renovation, and or am I going to, because there's equity in the deal today, right? And so am I going to buy it now and turn around and sell 2 off as is, right? And sell those for 70 or 80, right? And then hold on. So I haven't made I just know I'm buying them. Yeah. And I know there's equity. So that's step 1 for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have, how did you get the deal?
I'm really plugged in this market. And so I started investing there when no one else was, to be honest with you. And so, like, people that want the area to continue to transition or, renovate dilapidated properties that are not only eyesores, but, potentially safety hazards to the community, is that people will bring me deals. Okay. So I'm pretty plugged in. Okay. Which is a plus right now, but I didn't have that at the beginning. Yeah. Right. So I created that. It's just it got a little bit easier as time went on.
Yeah. Created it. So what was your first deal? Were you an agent first? Or were you a flipper first?
Yeah. So the very first thing I did.
Yeah. When you got into the real estate game.
Yeah. The very first thing I did in real estate was I started working for a guy, construction, that was flipping homes. I was working at $10 an hour. Okay. For 6 months I worked for him, and I was in the house was in Pittsburgh, but I lived in Erie. That's a 2-hour drive. Okay. So for 6 months I was driving back and forth between Erie and Pittsburgh, working for $10 an hour on this house. And there's this one story that I'll be short and sweet with. The agent found these tile floors that were like 3 or 4 layers down when they were demoing the house, and the kitchen was 10 by 10. Okay. And they were 1 inch by 1 inch tiles. Okay. And so there's an insane amount of grout lines. Okay. And they were super black and gross from over the years. Well, the agent's like, we have to keep these tiles. So one of my jobs as the $10 an hour labor guy with little to no skill was laying on my chest for a week with a dental tool, carving out all the grout lines, getting that. Yeah. So, but that's how I started. I was working for $10 an hour for 6 months. I was like asking the guy that I was working for, like, what do you do? What do you do? Asking all these questions.
Was he was a contractor?
He was getting into flipping. He was flipping.
Okay.
Yeah. So then he's like, find private money, find the deal, and gave me some advice. And I'm just kind of like full throttle always, I was like, oh, I can do this, right? And so I ended up connecting with a guy that was a hard money lender. If you're familiar with hard money lending, it was different 8 years ago. It wasn't as common. Yeah. But
hard money lending, basically, not a bank, a person or a company who does it, gives you a bunch of money for a higher interest rate than the bank. You got to put an X percentage down. They finance the deal.
Yeah, designed for construction loans, short-term loans.
Yeah.
So found the hard money lender, and then found a house which I thought was a good deal, My now wife Marissa sold it to me. I don't know if you knew that.
She was an agent before you.
She was an agent before me, 1 year before me.
Oh, that's killer.
Yeah. So she sold me the house. As soon as she called me, I'm making a long story, but as soon as she called me, she's like, "You got the house." Dude, I was so excited for half a second, and then my stomach hurt. I was like, I gotta go lay down. Like, okay, and flipped that house, did the renovations from YouTube videos. I'm skipping a lot of information, but when that sold, I lost a ton of money. I lost $43,000. I don't know if I ever told you the story.
You told me you lost a lot in your first deal.
So that first house,
$43,000.
$43,000. Yeah.
As a $10 an hour employee.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I quit working for Chris, and I was like paying myself to do the renovations because there's and I was bar backing at a bar. So that's what I was doing. But yeah, so like I said, skipping a ton of information. But when that house sold, a year and a half after it was finished, okay, it didn't sell for a year and a half. The private investors on it, like, it was going to be a foreclosure. It was going to be like, we can do a short sale. I'm like, no, like, I can get this handled. And so once we closed it, they satisfied the notes, the mortgages, right? But I still owed them. I owed 43. At the closing table, I was able to come up with an extra 20 grand because at that point I was living in Pittsburgh, working as an agent, living in a house that I was renting for $300 a month. Okay. Right, dude.
The whole house.
The whole house, 600 square foot house. It's so gross. It's so gross, man. I have another story about that, but I keep going off. Okay, so came up with 20 grand. So at the closing table, had an extra 20 grand after I sold my vehicle, had money saved up and all this stuff. Dude, I went back to like nothing. Right? And I was like, okay, I'll only owe 23 grand left. You know what I mean? And then that individual who had the second position, because there was a first money, hard money lender, then there was a second position, which was a young guy, and he was a friend of mine doing real well. And so I was like, dude, believe me, I'm going to pay you back. It's like, okay. So I don't know, like another year and a half, it took me whatever to pay that other 23 grand off. But I just hustled to pay that off. Yeah. And so that's when I got my real estate license, moved to Pittsburgh, and was just working as an agent for the next 3 or 4 years before I got back into investing. Okay. So I've really only been, I did a flip. Yeah. Then I put a 3-year gap in between, or whatever, 3-4 year, and then I've only been back into investing for like 5 years now. Yeah. 4 to 5 years.
Yeah. So your transition, did you go full time in real estate?
So or
were you still bar back in and everything else?
No. When I moved to Pittsburgh, I took this was kind of funny. I took a project manager position for the guy I was working for that was flipping before. Okay. For like 3 or 4 months, and I got my license I got my real estate license. But after 3 months, I was like, dude, he hired too early. He didn't need a project manager. I didn't have experience, and I was like enjoying being an agent and started to gain a little bit of traction. Yeah. And so it's basically that job stopped and just like went full time into real estate. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Man, that I have not lost $43,000 on a flip, but I also haven't done a full on flip like that. But that. I was in the bar. I was a teacher. Oh. And New York State budget cuts came through. They cut my position. So I still coached football and stuff, but I started working at this bar restaurant. And one of my football players' moms was a broker. Just like, get your license, come work for me. So that's why I got my real estate license in the bar. And then.
How long were you selling in New York before you moved here?
3.5 years.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I loved it. And it was.
Were you doing well?
I was just starting to do well. Like my first year in real estate, the first full year, I made it like $11,000. Yeah, so, and price points are way different. So like now,
for sure,
way different then, and it was 2011. Yeah. So it's entirely different. But
definitely.
So I was still like working at the bar restaurant. The second year, I like started to do better. And then the third year, things were really taking off. I was going to be leaving the restaurant, and my wife, we just got married. She's like, oh, it's too cold, and we moved to Florida. Yeah. And then got into some other business stuff down here, and then decided to get back into real estate 5 years ago. Okay. And a completely different market. Yeah. There's a ton of agents everywhere you go because cost of entry is relatively easy, and everybody thinks, oh, I'm gonna sell a house and get a $10,000 check.
I think that the cost and the education should be substantially more and harder.
Yes. So do I. I would love to see the cost go up.
For sure.
That alone, it would change it, and then increase the education. Exactly. Nothing you do in the real estate class actually.
No.
Like, who cares if you know how much?
Blows my mind.
Like, how many square feet are in an acre? Who cares how many square feet are in an acre? Yeah. Look it up on Google.
Yeah, I always tell people that like they're like, so after you take all the courses, like, you're good. I'm like, maybe it's just me, but in the actual real estate world, when you're selling as an agent, there'd be terms like, oh, I remember that term or recognize that term. That's it. But like, they didn't go over a sales agreement. They didn't go over
You don't know how to fill out a contract. You don't know how to do anything.
It doesn't make sense to me.
You might not even know how to operate a lockbox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like day-to-day operations as an agent. You learn nothing.
It's and I think that all these new agents that in the last 2 years have been coming on board, like, have you seen people start to fizzle out? Because you own a brokerage. How many agents do you have?
We have about 24, 25, somewhere around there.
I think that a lot of these new agents who think it's just I'm going to get my license because I love watching Flip That Bus or whatever these shows are. What's not Flip That Bus? What's that show?
Flip That Home, isn't
Flip
it?
That. Move That Bus. Ty Pennington. There we go.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to fade out because they realize it's not easy to make money and to do a good job.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I think there's going to be a lot of people that like fade out over the next 6 months to a year that just got their license.
Maybe that's here as well, but like across the board in my area for sure is that 20% of the agents produce 80% of the volume.
Yes.
And that's true in my little brokerage.
Yeah.
And that's true in Pittsburgh as well. You know, like the top 500 agents, we have like 7,500 agents. And the multi-list and like 500 do
in
everything.
Your county?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple counties, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like there's, I don't know what the last stat is. A couple years ago it was 9,000 or 10,000 agents. It's probably 15,000 agents now in Pinellas County alone.
That's wild.
And probably 5,000 of them don't even do a deal all year.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And then there's 20% of the agents make 80% of the money.
Yep.
Same thing in our brokerage. It's like and you see the people that are there every day, the people that actually come in and treat it like
a business. You're committed to it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then they put money back into their business instead of just getting big checks and going out and
for sure
losing money, spending money like crazy.
Yeah.
So not everybody can relate to the being a real estate agent part, but let's talk about like investing.
Okay.
So I have 3 houses.
Yeah.
You've got 103 houses.
Yeah, but with that being said, the markets we're in, like I might have 20 down here, right? Yeah. So it's nothing. It's not as big of a gap as it seems.
Yeah. Well, for sure. Like the house I'm working on right now, which is one house, you bought 7 houses for less than the purchase price of the one I got.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is totally different. But the cash flow on those is gonna end up being more. I mean,
for sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I do the short term rental, which is gonna be yours are long term.
They're all long term. I have one Airbnb.
Are we gonna flip this one here or what?
We're probably gonna flip this.
All right.
I'll let you know.
He has a couple Florida properties too. You bought 3 in Florida. We connected on Instagram.
Yeah.
His then fiance, now wife, DM'd me.
Yeah.
He flew down a couple weeks. A month later, we looked at some stuff.
Yep.
Got a place, flipped it. And
yeah.
now
So 3 down here. Well, we flipped that first one, but yeah. No, I like it. I'm excited about this market, and we're gonna finish that house, and we'll make a play on whether we're flipping it or not. But we'll see what the market's like. Cause there's a little bit of time left, right?
Yeah.
And we'll just see what the market's like.
Yeah.
But we're gonna keep the house that we're in, the Marissa are in.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
And what? How is that? You back home, you have a full crew, like guys that work for you every day. It's your construction company.
It is.
Down here, how has it been? Because I have a couple people, I don't know. I probably a quarter of my buyers are out of state, totally out of state, like they're relocating or they want a second home. And then a quarter of them are investor type buyers like you, and then the other half are people here or moving regular
buyers.
So, but the investor buyers, and a couple of those investor buyers are also out of state buyers. I give them the context I have, but it's hard to get people to show up and work. And that is also the fear that a lot of people have. Like, oh, how am I going to manage this property? I live in, Ohio. I want to own a spot in Florida so I can come down a couple weeks a year, but how do I rehab it and fix it up when I'm gone? What's that been like?
Well, I mean, there's no question that it's been challenging. I don't know if it's harder.
Yeah.
It can be done. It's just harder.
Yeah.
That's it. Do you know that 97th Way was flooded the other day?
The inside?
Yep.
What happened?
Okay, so and the neighbor comes over, is like, "Is this a nightmare house for you?" I was like, "It's not a nightmare house. I've had easier. You know, we're gonna be good. It will be good. Luckily, we tiled the floors, but I'm gonna summarize this. The bathroom's being fully remodeled right now.
That bath that's
The existing bath.
Okay, yeah.
The existing bath's being fully remodeled. The contractor removed the vanity and cut the water lines, and those shut-off valves weren't working, which wasn't a problem because they turned off the main water line in the front of the house. Okay? Well, they're taking a long time to finish that bathroom, and so those valves weren't changed and the vanity wasn't hooked up. Well, I'm working on getting the pool cleared up as well, and there's a leak. Pool guy came by, turned on the water at the front of the house, went in the back, tried to fill up the water, let it run while he was cleaning or doing whatever, left, turned it off, and left. And we came to the house, and the bathroom, into the kitchen, and the living room, and the bedrooms. I mean, inch and a half in sections. We're squeegeeing it all out. Then we shot back every single grout line. Then we got 4 or 5 industrial fans in there, opened it up. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
There's one section of new drywall sheetrock that we're gonna have to remove. Water started. It would be a problem if we just like finish that. So there's one section we're moving, and I would do this. I would consider doing this as well. And it's new when you're trying to connect with different people. I would I put timelines on it. So I'm like, hey, how long is this bathroom gonna take? Okay, 10 days. Okay, is it fair for me to give you 14 days just in case things pop up? Are you cool with 14 days? Like, and if you can't do it within 14 days, I get charged for not having it done because I work with private money. So your price will decrease. Is that fair? Do you know what I mean? Like, and give them have them set the day.
Yeah.
Then give them 4 more days.
Yeah.
Or whatever, even if it's a text message. And then even that's not the case. Like day 15 rolls around, like, hey man, you need it done. Like, they're gonna. You got to create some type of timeline.
Create a little bit of sense of urgency. Exactly. But another thing about contractors, it's like, how do you pay them? A little, give them draws?
It depends. The vast majority of the time, and I'm comfortable with it, sometimes when they're brand new, it's sketchy, right? But the vast majority of the times, I'll give them like a third up front. And then depending on the size of the job, usually, like, to be honest with you, if they're like, oh, I need money now, it's like, it's a red flag for me anyways. Like, I'm cool with money up front after you get started, or if I need to hold a spot in line, right? And then usually they'll finish the job and I give them the rest of it.
Yeah.
But if it's like a real big job, you know, and they need a third and then a third, 2/3, and then you know.
That makes sense. You hear the horror stories of people. I paid my contractor all up front and then they disappeared. Yeah. And like, it's just a poor move.
For sure.
Have you ever had anybody skip out before you started your?
I've only been ripped off probably twice, and I say probably twice. One time for sure, but when I say that, took me years. But we actually, like, I'll hit him up randomly. Hey, man, I thought you'd finish this for me. Hey, man, you know, and, like, he, years later, came and, like, painted a house for me. And he's like, we good? I'm like, we're good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which I want to say something. It wasn't a huge amount of money, and I was not on him all the time at all. That would be wasting my time to try to save that. But, like, it would pop my head. Yeah. I'm like, hey, man, I should have texted. You know, it was kind of annoying, but nice, too. Yeah. Really hope you can finish this for me, man. I know you're not that person. Yeah.
I know, you give him, like, a gentle nudge. Yeah, like, I know I'm disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. There's a better chance of being like, you're a douche, come finish this. Yeah. You know, like.
Yeah. Well, that's the same way about, like, even agents. Like, people that get into these arguments or you attract more flies with honey or whatever the saying goes. And, like, with contractors, with buyers, sellers, other agents, getting them to want to help you is so much more valuable than, like, winning a negotiation.
Dude, like, 100%.
People try and hammer each other or, like, get one over. Like, that is not the way you're going to do it. Because you're going to probably get another deal with that person at some point down the road. And when you text them, they text you and be like, oh, this guy was a jerk to me.
100%. I could not agree with you more. And I rarely push things on my agents. You operate your business how you want. I give you my suggestions. I give you my opinion of how things work for me. Because people do things a different way, right? Yeah. But I am a very strong advocate for, like, I've heard people argue, like, well, I'm fighting for my client. Yes. Right? Okay, and I get that. You're fighting for your client, you're representing your client, and you have to do that. However, let's talk about this 2 things. One is, let's say you fight for your client and you're a dick, and you win an extra $5,000 off the price, whatever it is, right? Yeah. Now, what you just said is when you run into that agent again and you have another set of clients, you misrepresented this other set of clients because of how you represented your other, right? So look at the whole scale, look at the big picture there. And so I am super nice, probably arguably too nice at times, you know what I mean? Just because you got to have a little bit of an edge, right? But like, I get along with them, I build good relationships, and then you're right, when there's a multiple offer situation, that agent's gonna be like telling their seller or buyer, whatever, this agent is good to work with, we'll get the deal done. You know, like I pick agents because I have a lot of relationships there. I pick agents over the deals more than I pick because I'm a seller often. You know.
Yeah, but you are a seller quite often.
I'm a seller often.
And you want to recruit them to your brokerage.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Couple of multiple incentives there.
So what I feel like, and you know, I'm shooting these videos and doing all this goofy stuff, but a lot of it's about the positive side of investing. Well, you already told us your $43,000 hit.
Yep.
But let's talk, like, it's easy to put this image out there that everything is great, I'm making a lot of money, and you want to, like, I wouldn't even do that myself. Like, I am successful, I'm super grateful, I'm very humbled by the success I've had, and I know you are too, like, just knowing you. But sometimes it's easy to make it look all like it's all roses.
I think,
like,
I can answer what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, give me some stuff. Give me some juice.
Yes. One thing I'm going to say is, when you think of like, oh, they're a millionaire, you just think they're super rich.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to tell you, that is not the case.
No.
It's all relative cost.
Broke at a different level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And okay, so a few things. A millionaire is not what you think it is, period. Mm-hmm. Second thing is, like, my personality is like, I like growth, I like progress. And so year one, I can only afford to buy 2 properties. Year 2, I can afford to buy 6 properties, but relative cost.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, no, let me rework this.
Yeah.
I will say that being a millionaire or multimillionaire is not what it seems, right? Yeah. And there's different millionaires between like cash rich or equity rich, and I personally more equity rich. Yeah. Right. And I'm a good equity position. I'm never very liquid.
Yeah.
But even today, you hear that, and when we post videos, we put off the good stuff and how we're doing well because you're excited about those wins. Yeah. Like, that's the things you want to share, because we're not negative.
We're positive people.
That's right. We don't want to share like, I lost money here. Oh, this sucked. Like, you just don't like, that's just not fun, enjoyable. So you naturally just want to post the things you're proud about and like the progress you have, which are oftentimes related to success and many times financial success. You know, but as I was having a conversation with you the other day, and the truth is, like, I run into significant cash flow problems. Yeah. And it seems like my gaps are getting bigger, so I'm either getting better at it or figuring out better, right? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even today, I run into significant cash flow problems with my investments, where it's like, this went wrong, and then I'm over budget here, and then I bought 2 more houses I shouldn't have, and then it's like, oh man, I wasn't paying close enough attention. I'm strapped.
One deal gets delayed that's supposed to pay off, and now...
Exactly. And you can't, I mean, real estate, there's so many wild cards that, like, you just can't bank on this sale and bank on this appraisal and then bank on this refinance. Like, there's just too many wild cards.
Tenant paying you on time.
Exactly. Yeah. Dude. So there's multiple different factors in there that I don't think anyone can really do it. And at the scale that I want to grow, I push a little bit farther. That puts me in the danger zone of, like, if shit goes wrong here and shit goes wrong here and shit goes wrong here, my cash is low. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And that feeling, I gotta tell you, man.
It's terrible. We were talking about this the other day.
Your stomach hurts. It's the only thing I can think about. My mind is then on defense the entire time. I'm not growing. I'm not thinking of, like, progressive things. I'm not making moves. And so when that happens, the very first thing I work on is, I will not be able to fix this problem with my current mindset of stressed, overwhelmed. So I mentally work on getting myself back to calm myself. It's all going to be okay. I have some backup options, or whatever it is. What's the worst good thing happen? Like, I literally work on getting my mentality back to positive, back to, I can do this. I'm confident. I can figure this out. And once I can get my brain back there, then I can think more clearly. And there will be many times that, and I'm almost done going off about this, but there will be many times that I'll bitch to Marissa. This is awful. I'm never going to do this again. I will not stretch myself thin. I'm selling everything I have. Yeah. I'm selling my whole portfolio, okay? It's not worth it to me, okay, dude? Openly, you know, and like you go in that, like, woe is me. And then And she'll be like, she knows me well enough now, which I'm kind of worried this is going to continue to happen. And then she just won't. Then she'll just like think I'll always figure everything out.
Yeah.
She's like, you'll figure it out. Like, I believe in you, whatever. And then I'll get my brain right, whether it's 2 hours or 2 days or 5 days. And usually it's pretty quick, you know, but I'll get my brain right. I'll spend an hour or 5 hours, and I'm like, I know what to do. I can sell this property. I'm going to refinance. I'm going to look to partner with this guy. We're going to do this. And I'm like, problem solved. I got a couple $100,000 coming back in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's done. Just do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And then then my mind's back to, I'm back. Okay?
Yeah.
And then, so because this time it hit me so hard, I thought I need to make a video that says, this sucks. Jesse, do not do it again. Like, I need a system in place that will prevent me from overextending myself next time. I don't want to keep feeling those feelings. Those are the only feelings that is like stress or overwhelm. Like, that's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, so I just went off right there, but I guess what I wanted to say there was our perception is we're doing well, we're successful, life is perfect. My problems are just different than your problems. Yeah. Whatever they are, you know what I mean? Like, but I experience them absolutely.
The same.
And you do too.
Yeah. And just the mindset of I was having a conversation on when I was sitting here waiting for you. I was on the phone with a buddy of mine, and like, he has a property down here, and he was concerned about the economy, what's going on with the recession right now. I don't know should I sell the thing or keep. He's operating as a short-term rental, and I was like, how would you counsel somebody else? And this is what I tell myself too when I start to be like, all right, I've got this. I'm in the middle of this rehab project. I got my family living in the house with stuff half packed up. I'm like managing these contractors. I just bought this other small company, the signpost company. I'm like getting that off the ground, and I'm trying to still be a high quality agent and be a dad and a husband.
Yeah,
I get buried with stuff
for sure,
and it's absolutely crushing.
Yeah, dude, it overwhelms you, it cripples you. You know,
whether it be money issues or the money's gonna be tight.
Time.
And like, I'm paying for this to finish up. I need this thing to close, but there's real problems. There's just like everybody else has. You
100%.
know, it's not. But it doesn't mean people shouldn't do it. That's what I wanted to get at. There's struggle, no matter what you do. Whether you have a great marriage or a bad one, you get sick. Whether you are rich or poor, something happens. What, like, you have a sucky job that you hate as 9 to 5, and you want to be this big real estate investor or be an agent and set your own schedule, which you never can set your own schedule if you're a real estate agent.
if you want to make any money.
If you want to be a good agent.
Yeah, if you want to be
that's it.
So like, just like counseling yourself, what you tell somebody else to do, relax, take a deep breath, and like solve one problem at a time. If you look at the whole, everything you got to do, just fixing one problem at a time, and not going off the deep end about stuff. Like it's challenging, but it's, people think, I feel like all the time, like, oh, it's so easy, or it must be nice. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, it is nice, but you know what? I work for that niceness, and my family can right now sometimes suffer for it.
Yeah,
that's my bigger dilemma. Like the money thing about rehab projects, I have less going on than you, but my struggle right now is I'm very successful and I'm grateful for it. But at what sacrifice on the family side do I make it happen? And how long do I let that go on before I am able to scale my operations up enough where I can have other people help me to get better? And so I can, like, only one person can be a dad and a husband to my wife and kids. Yeah. So other people can sell houses or manage a construction project.
Well, I think one of the things you can do there is just like, and whether you call it make believe or just make up scenarios, is like, have you looked into, like, what's it look like if you have a full-time assistant? Yeah. What's it look like if you pay X amount a year for just admin work for your, like, how much time does that free up? And like, one of the things you can look at is like, try to establish what you believe your time is worth and establish what you do that other people can't. Yeah. And then once you figure that out, like, and you know what your time is worth or your hourly, then if you can pay someone at a lesser rate, then that needs to be paid. Yeah. And that will give you more time. And then when you have more time too, like, you can spend it with your family. Yep. And when you're spending time with your family, like, and you're relaxed and you're enjoying yourself and stuff, your brain's also may think of like more creative ideas, or like, oh, I can do this,
or fixes to the problems that you're.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's just important to like look at different scenarios and just like I like make believe.
Yeah.
What's it look like if I sold my portfolio?
Yeah.
Okay, I can make $1 million, $1.5 million. Okay, what's it look like if I have $1.5 million? Okay, I could buy a 100-unit deal. One building, one roof. Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
What if I could just have fun with that? And it often can take you to places like, holy shit, I actually probably could do that. You know?
Could, yeah. Have you, what's it look like, that question? Have you ever read Tim Ferriss stuff? Have we talked about this?
4-Hour Work Week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the book is a perennial bestseller, and it's there's some outdated information on it, but the principles are still so good.
Yeah.
And he always says, what would this look like if it were easy? And that I do try and bring myself back to that. All right, what can I outsource? Who can I have do that? And I'm just finally starting to get to more the ability to have more people do that, and it does free me up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that the full-time assistant is kind of my next step.
Cool.
But I've got to write a couple things out for another month. I need this house project to be done.
Yeah, but then
and
all
move
of a sudden,
in there and then get my other Airbnb up and running, and then I can be like, and not have this happen again. And then I'll probably find another deal and want to go after it and be right in the.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
there's gonna be people that are gonna panic sell. Don't be a panic person.
Yeah.
People will start to panic sell, and if they're adamant about selling, and I can find a deal, I'll scoop it up. But I don't know. This next 6-7 months, I think there'll be opportunities right there.
Oh, absolutely, dude. We're and I gotta wrap up.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go.
We're I'm starting a real estate debt fund.
Yeah.
We're gonna raise $10 million,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be, in my opinion, perfect timing to buy real estate.
Yeah.
We'll be cash buyers, and it will likely transition into a buyer's market.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, we'll see. It's speculating. I don't know.
The supply and demand. Here's what I think though. These interest rates are high, and they're gonna get higher for a while. I think that's gonna start to bring some buyers back because everybody's calming down right now and be like, let me see what's going on, and then they're going to realize, oh, these rates are actually going to keep going. I need a place to live. I want to live wherever it may be. So they're going to come back to the table and start buying again. And it's going to keep the supply low because there's people that have a 2.5% interest rate or a 3% interest rate or a 4% for that matter right now.
Yeah.
And they're not going to sell
For sure.
because they're not going to trade a 2.5 for a 6.5.
For sure. I don't disagree that the supply is definitely low, and I've seen multiple different charts or different people talking about just in general our housing supply is significantly lower than it's been ever.
Yeah.
And so that is a big factor.
Yeah.
But I guess there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unknown in the market.
Yeah.
And so there's a potential for opportunities.
Yeah, for sure.
From an investment opportunity.
People that bought Airbnbs, places they're going to Airbnb, and they realize it's a little harder than all these Instagram videos I watch.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're gonna sell it. There'll be opportunity either way, but it's I don't know, it's a fun time to be alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I have.
All right, Jesse's got to go.
Yeah. I apologize.
If you're in Pittsburgh, give him
That's right.
Give him your brokerage. Give him.
Yeah, it's called LifeSpace Real Estate. LifeSpaceRealEstate.com or LifeSpacePGH.com, or hit us up on Instagram, or my personal Instagram or TikTok is Jesse Wig, JESSEWIG.
Awesome.
That's it.
Thanks.